Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. I'm looking forward to spending this time with you to talk about your retirement planning. This is me. In my prior career, I was a chartered accountant for 28 years. I discovered Enable Me 16 years ago when my husband and I became clients. And as a strategic coach for the last 12 years, I have had the pleasure of helping thousands of clients get their finances in order and to grow well. This retirement piece is deeply personal to me as I'm looking down the barrel of retirement myself. And while exciting, it is a huge transition on so many levels. It affects our identity, routine, social connections, and financial security. I can't help you with all the emotional side, but I can help you have a line of sight of how you can fund a comfortable lifestyle so that you can confidently take that step when you're ready. Today, we're going to cover off setting retirement goals, understanding your time frame, creating a plan, optimizing your income and investments, understanding the accumulation strategies that are available in retirement, some estate planning options, and hopefully we'll have some time for a few questions and answers. This presentation is for information only. I cannot give personalised financial advice if I don't know your situation and your goals. But at the end, there is an offer that hopefully you can come in and have a financial consultation with me or one of our amazing coaches. I'd like to take a quick poll just so I know who I'm talking to. So please choose one of these options. Give me a few minutes to collate the information and then we'll get into it. Okay, just a couple more minutes. 3% of the people on this webinar don't have any plan to fund retirement. About 30% feel that they're not on track. 58%, amazing, say they're pretty sure they'll be okay. And 9% are confident. It's amazing. Right, so let's get into this. We hear a lot of big numbers when we hear about how much we should have for retirement, but really what is important is understanding how much you need, and that depends on how much a comfortable lifestyle for you costs. We're all different. Some people have a low cost lifestyle, others want a choices lifestyle with some travel. And then maybe other goals that people want to incorporate. I've got some clients that I'm presently working with, and they want to give each of their children, they've got 300,000 to help them into property. So we also need to factor in car replacements, home maintenance, and big trips, those sorts of things. So it's not just lifestyle that we're trying to cover. Regardless of your number, the important aspect is to know that creating wealth creates options. And they could be options around where you live, whether you can scale back early or retire early, depending on health, of course, the level of care, leaving a legacy, and helping your children. But what is really, really important is we all need a buffer. So that if life doesn't go to plan, and we all know it often doesn't, we want to make sure that you'll be okay in retirement. A buffer will reduce the impact on your plan if you have to retire early, get made redundant, get sick. Ideally, I want you to be able to weather changes in circumstances and the downturns in the economy or asset classes and still be okay. I'm sure all of us would love to have these types of options. So why just be okay when we could be better with some simple strategies? This is based on research. About 50% of Kiwis aren't prepared for retirement, and a lot of them feel that they will be working past 70. That's fine if you want to, but we want it to be a choice rather than a necessity. And 34% feel that they could only live their current lifestyle for 10 years after retiring on their savings. These are some of the options that we have. We can work longer, depending on wealth, health, etc. Downsize your home. Selling businesses, some people get inheritances. Reverse mortgages are an option you need to take care with those, or you can spend less in retirement. Some of these are palatable, some are not. So it's understanding what's right for you. New Zealand superannuation currently is about 28,800 for a single person per annum and about 44,000 for a couple. Most people have to dip into their savings to cover their lifestyle. If you don't own your house outright by retirement, you need to factor in rent. That's a significant amount of money that you have to come up with each week. If you want to help your kids, it's pretty hard to do on New Zealand superannuation. Of course, there are likely to be changes in the age that superannuation is paid and could even be means tested. So for my younger clients, we don't tend to factor in New Zealand superannuation. How do we start? So most people are unsure what they need and how to calculate that. And they unsure where their money will be coming from and whether they're on track. So let's start by figuring out how much your comfortable lifestyle costs, add in one-off costs, figure out how much you have now, how much you will save while you're working, how long your runway is till you are looking at retiring, and calculate what the gap is. If there is, we need to get a plan in place as soon as possible to bridge any gap. And there may be a gap or there may not be a gap. But your retirement projections must be based on known factors. It's no use guessing. So you need to know your actual spending costs, how much you're saving now, and have some key assumptions around the real rate of return expected on investments. There are many unknowns, especially if retirement feels a long way away, and we don't know what inflation will do, whether New Zealand superannuation will still be around in its current form, or whether it could be means tested. So at Enable Me, we have a rough rule of thumb, which is calculating your lifestyle cost per annum times by 25. So that's assuming that you do stop work at 65 and we're trying to get you to 90, covering those costs for 25 years. We are living longer, and we do assume, or I'm trying to get my clients to 90 with a home. My dad was 94 when he passed away, and my mum's still going strong at 88. So definite proof that we are living longer. When we do these calculations with our clients, we do it very, very accurately, but this is just the rule of thumb that we're talking about for you to do at home. Once we have that figure for retirement, we look at the income sources and how much income your investments will be generating. Really important that a wealth plan be flexible and dynamic and regularly updated, and it's got to have buffers as well. Now, in order to get ready for creating a wealth plan, we need to understand that you'll get your financial foundation strong. We need good money habits. We need to know what we're aiming for. If we don't have goals, we're unlikely to get there. Cash flow management, this is your bank account system, how everything works. Your bank account should be set up to give you clarity and control around your spending. And of course, having your mortgage paid off by retirement, we want to aim for that. So we want to optimize your mortgage so you're paying as least interest as possible. That will give you the ability, hopefully, to pay off your mortgage quicker than the current default. And then you can reallocate your mortgage payments into investments. Obviously, we need to start as quickly as possible, because if we've got time on our side, that is our superpower. The biggest feedback I get from my clients is, I wish I had done this 10 years ago. And I remember saying that myself when we started working with Enable Me. The more time we have, the more options we can create, the sooner we can identify any problems and create solutions. KiwiSaver is a fabulous foundation, but not a complete retirement plan. Employer and government contributions make it highly beneficial. At the moment, the default is 3.5%. The general advice is to put the minimum into KiwiSaver to get the maximum benefits. For most people, KiwiSaver won't be enough. There will still be a shortfall. So we need to make sure that your KiwiSaver is working really, really hard, that it's in a fund appropriate for your age and stage in life, with a great provider. Just remember that if you plan to retire before retirement age, i.e. 65, you can't access your KiwiSaver. So yes, put your money into KiwiSaver, but also have other investments that you could access prior to that time. Now, this couple here, they had a mortgage. They were on track to pay that mortgage off by 65. And this green line up here is the KiwiSaver. They worked out that KiwiSaver would fund their retirement only for 4 years after stopping work. And for me, that is quite a large gap, because I want them to be able to cover their lifestyle till 60. What they did is they put a plan in place. They were aiming to pay their mortgage off 10 years earlier, which meant mortgage-free by 55, and gave them 10 years of those mortgage payments to be invested, plus their KiwiSaver, of course. So that stretched out the time that they could cover their retirement till 80. In my mind, there's still a little shortfall there of about 10 years. But with a wealth plan, we can extend and make those savings work harder to get them till 90. There are many ways to invest, but not all suit everybody. Some options require more capital, i.e. businesses or expertise. Higher risk can mean higher reward, but also greater uncertainty. So your strategy needs to balance your risk, what you're comfortable with, accessibility, and long-term goals. And if we look at this next slide, we can see, cash, very safe, very little risk, but low return. At the other end of the scale, we've got business, shares, property in the middle, managed funds down a little bit, and term deposits and bonds. Risk and return go hand in hand. Safer options obviously yield lower returns. Cash is stable, but it won't grow your wealth. If you have a savings gap, you might need higher returns, but that also may put you out of comfort level with the risks you're taking. If your retirement gap is greater than 300,000, you're likely to need to use leverage to build it. And I'll explain what leverage is. If we take the example of you have 160,000 to invest, you could pop that into a managed fund. You may earn 6%. That is just a figure. I'm not saying you will. And the return would be about 9,600 per annum. If you use that 160,000 plus some bank money and you bought a investment property worth, say, 800,000 and you've got a growth rate of 6%, you're getting a return of about 48,000 because you've got a bigger asset. So leverage boosts returns. Understanding also that rental properties, unlike managed funds, properties can generate income which will help cover your expenses. So property is still, I know the property market's been a little bit flat, but property is a really important part of a diversified portfolio. Your home is a lifestyle asset. We're not counting that in your investments. You will have KiwiSaver. So for many people, the next step they go into is the right investment property, but it has to be the right investment property. I'll talk about that in a minute. Because of inflation is the silent thief of savings. None of us can afford to have lazy money. We need to make our money working as hard as possible. And I had a situation recently where I met a woman who had a couple 100,000 in term deposits. She was getting 3.85%, which she thought was pretty good. But after tax, her return was 2.6%, hardly keeping up with inflation. We ran the figures, and based on this return, her investments would only cover her lifestyle till late 70s. Then I reran the figures. If her funds were invested and netting a 2.5% return after inflation, tax and management fees, she could have covered another 8 or 9 years of lifestyle costs. This decision carries a big opportunity cost by being cautious and not quite understanding the long-term implications. Right, you may already have investment properties. It's not a set and forget investment. Review your portfolio every few years and ensure it is right for the next property cycle. You also need to understand what maintenance costs are coming up. Some rentals are what I call accidental rentals. They may have been a first home or an inheritance, but this doesn't mean it's a good investment property for the future. A question I like to ask my clients is, if you had they may have an investment property of 700,000. I say to them, would you buy that particular property now if you had 700,000? Because often they could sell and buy something else that may be newer or in a growth area. Also, don't forget you may have equity locked up in that investment property that you could leverage again. Look at all opportunities. Now, with your other investments, obviously you need to review your portfolio regularly. Should you sell? What should you buy? Compare your hold costs. Can you liquidate assets towards something better? There's lots of options. Please get financial advice. Don't wing it. We spend most of our life accumulating assets, and as you approach retirement, I see a lot of people are asset rich and cash poor, and so they need to start accumulating some and liquidating some of their assets so that they can cover their lifestyle. And it makes me really, really sad when I see people, they may have a few properties, but actually cash flow is really tight. And they'd like to go on holiday or help their kids, but they're constrained because of cash. So there is a big mindset change from accumulation to decumulation. And I think this is one of the challenging aspects of retirement. There are a lot of tactics that you can use to pay for your lifestyle in retirement. You can try and live off the returns, but you do need quite a large capital pool to do so. Some people take out a set amount, but beware of inflation with that. And some people take a percentage. Once again, that may not take into account inflation or market conditions. I prefer having buckets, having a savings account with 3 to 5 years of living costs. Then you have some conservative investments, and then the money that you don't need till later on can be invested in growth funds. We think of retirement in kind of 3 stages. The first 5 to 10 years, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're active, we're travelling, we're doing the things that we want to do. We do tend to spend a bit more money. The following 10 years, costs can go down. We're less active and we could have some health costs. And then the final stage, costs can go up. You might need some care around the house, etc. So if we think about the money that we need for the next 5 to 10 years, it needs to be quite conservatively invested, and then money beyond that could be more growth funds. It's also important to protect your assets. And consider if you're leaving a legacy, you've worked really, really hard, so make sure that you've got the right protection in place. Insurance policies, extremely important, obviously. Trusts may be suitable depending on your family. A will in place, essential, power of attorney, and rest home subsidies. You need to understand what's eligible and how that sits for you. We've talked about a lot, but the key takeaways is understanding your goals and your time frame. Use this to determine your strategy. Check that any investments you have now are working hard and optimized, and determine how you'll manage your finances once you're retired. And of course, protect your wealth. I'd love you to come in for a financial consultation. What is it? It's a 90-minute strategy session with a qualified Enable Me advisor and coach. It might be me, it might be someone else. During that time, we get you to do a little bit of homework and complete our nest egg software, which is your assets, your costs, etc. During that time, we get a full picture of your finances. We identify any inefficiencies in what you're doing at the moment, and we kind of investigate your trajectory. Will you be on track or not? After the session, you can decide on your next move. We have options to continue with Enable Me coaching for a 12-month program. There are some costs, obviously, but there's no obligation to do so. It's value-packed, 90 minutes with a strategic coach. We will provide value and actionable steps to take away from the financial consultation, so we do charge a fee for that value. I do want to be honest with you. This information is great, but the real power is working to a personalised plan with a financial coach, with regular reviews and amending it as life changes and figures crystallise. I want you to have the confidence that you're maximising your financial options to benefit you and your family in the future. As I said at the beginning, retirement is one of the biggest transitions. And to have an understanding based on accurate data of how long your comfortable lifestyle is covered is absolutely gold. It gives you clarity. It helps you make those big decisions around when you do stop work, should you downsize your home, those sorts of things. I encourage you to think about this seriously because the timing is critical. Honestly, the sooner you do it, the better. We have an offer. If you would like to book a financial consultation, if booked tonight, it's only $100. The value is $400 normally. If you do book after tonight, the fee will be $149. Now we are going to go to some questions and answers, and our producer will read those out. I'll just leave that there so you can scan and book a consultation.
Yeah, so we can start our Q&A. Thanks, Diane. We've had some great questions submitted. Our first question, any ideas for what to do with the money in KiwiSaver when one retires?
Absolutely. So ideally you would probably, the logical solution would be to move your KiwiSaver into another managed fund. You can leave it in KiwiSaver and access it, but please understand that it is part of probate if something happens to you. Whereas if there is a couple, you may wish to put your KiwiSavers together into a managed fund. What managed funds do, KiwiSaver is effectively a managed fund, but managed funds offer diversity and liquidity, which is great. So you can take a regular amount out each month, pay yourselves to live on, or you might like to take out lump sums a couple of times a year. And with the diversity, the managed fund is aligned with your risk and returns. So a great vehicle for looking after your money after retirement.
Another question we had, we'll be heading into retirement in about 5 years. Should we pay off our mortgage before we look at an investment property?
Ideally, we want to do both strategies at the same time. As investment property is a long-term strategy, the sooner you can get a foot in the door and own investment property, the better. And then I'd like you to work on the strategy of paying off your debt as quickly, your home debt as quickly as possible. Once that is gone, we need to think about what we do next. Do we pay down our investment property debt till it's cash flow neutral? That probably would be my answer to that. But once again, it depends on your timeline and your situation.
Great. Next question. Any insights for planning for retirement as a single person? Are there different considerations compared to being in a couple?
Mm. Not really different considerations, but I really acknowledge it is harder when you are by yourself. You've got the full rates bill every year, you've got the full insurance, internet, etc. So it just highlights even more importantly how you must get a plan in place and start growing wealth as quickly as possible. And the idea would be pay down mortgage as quickly as possible to the stage where you can leverage any equity in your home. If you are in that situation, consider investment property, have your KiwiSaver growing as well as possible, and get a retirement plan in place. Vital.
Okay. Our last question for this Q&A. What is your top piece of advice for someone who is looking to build a solid financial plan for retirement?
My advice is to start now. It is easy to think you have time on your side and to put it off because it's all too hard. But the sooner you take stock of where you're at and think about your goals, have those discussions, the better off you will be. It takes time for wealth to grow. So we do want to get these strategies in place now.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining us. If you have any questions about what we do, and I can see some in the chat right now, feel free to reach out. Our contact information is on our website. We'll also be sending out a recording this afternoon. All right, Dan, I'll leave you to close off.
Thank you very much. I look forward to meeting you.